Da da da! We're live! I've got to move this so that we can all be seen.
I'm over here for a second. I just hooked something with my thumb.
Peggy's over there for a second. What'd you do? Did you lose your power cord?
No. I hooked something with my thumb and I thought something shifted on my laptop.
Here, I'm going to pull up the... Nope, that's the wrong
video.
video.
That's what shifted. Okay.
I'm going to pull up the chat. Hello, everybody! Hi, Simon!
Hi, everybody!
I got to pull up...
I'm not even in the chat.
It's because we're slow and we're old.
We're slow.
You're especially old. Hey, quickly though, I was just getting the chat ready to go and I noticed that I am at 777 subscribers, which feels incredibly lucky and cool. And I just really liked seeing that particular number. I mean, feel free to ruin that number anytime if you're just joining, but I'm just saying. So, because it's kind of a fun, cool...
She just noticed it right this minute.
Yeah, and I was like, that's kind of cool. So I think we're going to do a 777 subscriber giveaway just for giggles. Cause
that's weird.
Because why not?
I think you might be casting. I think you might be casting in a lower quality because that just popped up low quality for me.
Yeah, so if the quality's doing anything weird, you should be able to adjust it back up in the gears because I am casting in the right quality.
There's a little gear icon on the bottom of your. Yeah, there's a little gear icon, and if it's set, check
You're
the quality.
At 720, or did you
I had to manually adjust it.
Oh, gotcha. If you pause that, will be better for internet, so don't let it play. Yeah, there we go.
Huh?
If you pause that video and then just the live chat will keep scrolling, pause your video, pause that.
Okay.
There you go. No, that was not the right button. Peggy's challenge.
Challenge this morning, apparently.
And I'm still popping out the chat. I haven't done my job yet. Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
That if you're streaming live and you pause your own stream on your computer, then you're not using bandwidth watching your stream.
I've done this before, and apparently I'm challenged this morning.
I might have to refill my coffee at some point because I'm still only on my first one. I got chatting this morning, and I was like, whatever. Okay, let me.
Okay. Here I am.
There, and I can pull this actually in front so we can see it. See, honey? We're gonna have double. We have double chat windows.
She's like, do I be a little shit and unsubscribe?
That'd be so mean.
That would hurt my feelings. Don't hurt my feelings.
Yeah. 720. It did make a difference. Blurry. We're crystal clear on this side. Am I blurry for anybody else? Let me know. It might just be that it's still catching up because we had all the devices
haircuts.
running. I like her hair this short or shorter.
Oh, I can't stand longer hair anymore.
Oh, thanks, Simon. He's like, I remember your first video. That first video was so cringy. It took me like several videos before I got my sound right and before I figured out.
Are you pulling this in, or you like it where it is?
Jen says we're still blurry, and I updated to 720.
I don't know.
It might just be our internet being scratchy. I can't do a ton about that.
If you look at at the bottom of your screen.
No, they just said they just adjusted to 720 and it's still blurry.
Oh no, that's.
No, I was just making sure I didn't have anything running in the background. I don't.
Well, I converted it. I used the gear icon.
It was not cringy, Simon said.
I used the gear icon for the quality, and it updated properly.
Worst case, just try refreshing your screen in case.
I don't know what to tell you guys because I don't know why it shouldn't have done what it did anyway to begin with.
Yeah, keep us posted. But anyways, 770.
As long as we sound good because we're amazing to listen to.
Peggy, humble as always.
No, no. Okay, so Lisa has 700.
Oh yeah, so 777.
Unless Al decides to be a little shit.
Yeah, don't screw with us. So as a result of 777 subscribers. We're going to do just some random giveaway.
Anybody who can't stay for the whole thing, thanks for at least stopping by for a few minutes. Lisa just spontaneously decided like 3 minutes ago to do a...
Less than 3 minutes
to do a little contest.
Like literally right before we went live. I'm like, hey,
777, that sounds lucky. Let's do a giveaway.
So, because I'm probably not doing my next big one until 1,000.
But we're not prepared for a giveaway, so you guys are taking your chances and just getting what you get.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise. So
a surprise giveaway.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise giveaway. So if you're watching this video and you want to participate, then after the video is done being live, so that it's in the actual comments, not in the live chat, just post that you want to enter. Yeah,
just type enter me.
Like you won't be disqualified if you say please enter me.
Well,
and
once you decide what I'm making,
or you tell me what you want to make.
It'll
be a Peggy creation of some kind.
And maybe a short second video to show everybody what it is. But just comment with enter.
I don't know who someone just subscribed. That's awesome. So it's a good thing I announced this while it happened because 777 doesn't stick around like forever. So that's kind of awesome.
Oh, because it's paused, so we can't. Yeah,
I can flip over and look, but like I don't need to.
We have got this command center. I've got my computer open.
Yeah, it's
She's
'cause
got
we're
her
both
computer
blind.
open, and then we've got the tablet to actually do the video with.
Yeah, so it's like if you were sitting here, it feels very high tech and fancy. Let me tell you.
Well, no, it feels very.
And I forgot to move my goosenecky top down table tripod thing, so that's hanging out in the background looking like a weirdo. Enter me. Yeah, any kind of comment that says that you want to be in the contest counts.
Is this Becca's live?
Oh, Becca in her last giveaway said in order to be able to spot the comments, asked people to make sure they were very clear in putting enter me in all caps so she could find it.
Ah.
Slag. Okay, so I missed the whole slag thing, but I think so Simon said
I saw a good chunk of that. Somebody, for some reason, I'm not going to remember the entire sequence of events, but for some reason, the word slag was mentioned, and then there was a discussion on what it means. Because like some people were saying, I thought it meant. Apparently, slag is like the byproduct of mining. So some people thought it meant like dirty as a person, and some people thought that it meant slut.
Oh.
So it turned into quite the fun conversation that went on for a while.
Sounds like it. I missed that one.
Yeah. I think.
And Becca usually goes live on Sundays, right? Because I missed it last week because I was with Jen.
You missed the last two, which is.
Did I miss both?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. And Amethyst Rose, don't forget to leave your comment.
A loose man or woman.
Amethyst Rose, don't forget to leave your comment about entering after this video is done being live.
Leave it in the comments after.
There'll be a spot
we
for
won't
comments.
Find it.
Yeah, we won't be able to find it in the chat.
Now, Elle is disqualified because she was mean to me.
What did Elle do to you?
She said she was going to be a little shit and unsubscribe to bring it down to 776.
She just threatened it. She just threatened it. Just ignore Peggy. You are not disqualified, Elle. I'll make sure of it. Such a brat. Oh my goodness.
See? Elle thinks it's fun. Hi, Bruno.
A loose man, a gloriously antiquated definition. Oh boy.
Yes, it's a very old definition.
I learned something new.
I have my dog over here on his back going, I need pets.
So this was a big topic this week, standing up for ourselves.
Standing up for yourself is like, because you usually don't reach that point where it's just time to rip the Band-Aid off until you're actually upset. Nobody says this might.
Earthquake. Bring your
oh my
foot
God!
that
What
way.
are you doing? Nobody says this might upset me at some point down the road, so I'll speak up now. Like we usually don't want to. There's not usually a need to stand up for yourself until
something's upset you.
Yeah,
or like you it's been brought to your attention that you're bothered.
You're already upset, so it's like, okay, so how do I deal with this? Not how do I deal with this because.
No, totally. How do I deal with this?
Well, yeah, that's what this topic is about. But most of the time, it's like I'm upset, therefore I'm going to tell you I'm upset. So it feels very confrontational and aggressive.
Yeah, my problem was for a long time, I wouldn't let myself stand up for myself until I was so upset that I had enough courage to do it. And by the time I was that upset, I would literally be shaking because I was like,
"Oh, zero to rage." Over crackers, that was the fun one.
Hey, now hold on.
I know you were
a bad day. That was a bad day.
She was having a super bad day, and we actually got into the kind of fight over crackers where she was rage shaking because everything.
That was. Let's point out that I was just emotion.
You were under a shit ton of
I was really crazy at that time in my life, and I say that very affectionately.
No, your mom was. Your mom was in the hospital. Yeah, you were under a shit ton of stress.
There was a lot happening
that you couldn't control.
And then Peggy, God forbid, wanted to buy Ritz, and I at that point
I forget what I wanted to buy.
You wanted to buy Ritz. I very
let's argue about that. That'll be fun.
I very clearly remember I was super upset. I was like,
everything else would have hurt my feelings.
It was such a silly argument, but it was one of those things where I was just blowing off stress, and it was horrible.
But see, that gets in the way of standing up for yourself because when you're already upset, you can't tell the difference. Like, am I angry because I not deserve to be angry? Because you always ask yourself, am I allowed to have these feelings?
Hi, Marge. Yeah, exactly.
The blow up is always over something small, which then makes you feel like you haven't got the right to speak up over something that's not so small.
Well, this is the thing too, is that we feel like we have to have, this is I think a really important part of the conversation, is that we feel like we have to be justified before we're allowed to say something's bothering us.
Oh yeah.
And we need to rewire ourselves a little bit because we're allowed to speak up about anything that bothers us, reasonable or not.
It doesn't have to bother you.
Well, no, hold on. Because I don't want that to kind of dilute my point.
Oh, okay.
We're allowed to speak up about anything. Yeah. It doesn't mean the other person's obligated to do what you want, but if you can express yourself in a taking ownership of it way, you're allowed to speak up about anything. Like, that's why I use the colored shirt example, is that, like, I can say, your red shirt's really bothering me. That doesn't mean the other person is allowed, like,
yeah.
It's not always, it doesn't have to be a reasonable request for you to have the right to say it. It's just you need to be willing to have a conversation or be willing to hear the other person's perspective.
Well, you use that example. You use the example if I'm teasing you at a checkout line or whatever, or joking around. If it's not going over well that day, you can still stand up for yourself and say, "This is not the day for this, and I'm really not okay with it."
We do that all the time,
and it can be okay the rest of the time.
Yeah, we actually do that all the time because we have a very, as you guys have seen, we tease each other a lot. Like it's a huge part of how we relate to one another. So, and there are days
it
like
feels larger than it is. Sorry,
Peggy will say something like, I'm not feeling well, or I'm a little headachy, so I feel like I'm going to sound more serious than I am, so I'm going to stop teasing you now. Or I'll say, are you not feeling well because you're sounding like you mean it and not like you're just... Yeah. So we'll check in with each other, and that's fine. Like there might be days when it's not okay because I'm touchy.
But that's a little way to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But we kind of have this feeling that... Because you want to be accepting and accommodating of other people. That's what we're taught is a good, valid... And it's a good, valid way to behave. But then if you're always accommodating and you're always accepting, and then something's happening that you don't like, when, where, and how do you... And I don't necessarily think it's about...
L. Okay, I'm going to practice. Simon, it bothers me. You put the loo roll under. I'm not okay with that. Please stop. Love L. Yes. I'm entertained. That was good.
You know what though? That's a really good example because how often you're like, I really need to say something about this. Oh, but it's so petty.
Yeah, and then you stew about
but it's so petty.
And then you stew
and you stew in it, and suddenly you don't like this person anymore, and you don't know why.
Or like I'm randomly bitchy at Peggy for some reason, and it's all because she didn't replace the roll on the toilet paper at all. Who does that, by the way? Who leaves the who?
I did it to you on purpose because you're.
Did you just hear her? This was on video. She just said she does not replace the toilet paper roll on purpose.
In your bathroom.
You are a monster.
In your bathroom.
In my bathroom specifically.
Yeah.
What the hell? Okay, anyways, I'm gonna have a moment over here. Whew. Calming down. But you know what I do with the toilet paper roll? Just saying. Does anybody else like turn it around in other people's houses? I'm just wondering if I'm.
Why are we talking?
I don't know because Elle brought it up. Blame Elle. I'm just wondering. I've totally done it.
Okay, we're off
Have you
topic.
done it? No, you haven't done it because you don't feel strongly enough about over and
I
under.
don't. It's like, dude, considering where it's going, I'm not concerned with where it's coming from.
I regularly have to fix it in your bathroom. I'm just
it's like, dude,
see, Jessica gets me, right? Yeah.
Elle, you are a monster.
That's what I called you a monster because you don't replace toilet paper roll on purpose. Who does
Yours.
that? Yeah, that doesn't make it better.
I married you, but why?
You're a bad person.
I'm a horrible person. I don't know why you married me.
Okay, we're off tangent. Sorry.
Okay, so basically, yeah, standing up for yourself is like there's this whole huge range. Wait. Oh yeah.
Oh
my
God, you're gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things though because you're not because if there's not a reason for it, if there's not a valid, legitimate reason. Blah, blah, blah. So then you're being petty.
Yeah, so you kind of give yourself criteria. Petty. Like, what counts as something that you're allowed to speak up about? Shake it off. What qualifies? Where is that bar?
We have to. There's no toilet paper.
And I think, hold on, I'm bringing us back on topic. Oh. I think that if we set a bar for, like, these things I'm allowed to speak up about, and these things don't warrant speaking up about, then all of these little things, like if you think of a jar and the little things, there's an example about this. I got this because I'm visual.
You got this. Okay.
So if the big things that you're allowed to speak up about are like the rocks that occupy your mind, right?
You got rocks in your head?
Hold on. Shut up. And then the little things that bother you is the sand. Then think about how much sand you can have that builds up that you're not speaking up about. You might be dealing with the rocks, and that's fine, but now you've got a jar full of sand that you have to now deal with, and it's going to take 1,000,000 hours to take that stuff out. One kernel at a time. One grain at a time. I'm really bad at metaphors. Why do I keep trying?
I got this. Let me do it badly. It's fine.
But that's exactly what just happened. Does anybody understand my sand and rock
Probably
metaphor?
Not. You have rocks in your head.
I don't have rocks in my head.
Sand in your head?
There was, and I used the example
there's an
wrong, Heather, because it's about like paying attention to the little things in your life.
The thing is that you can have basically. We're kind of taught that standing up for yourself is something that only really is a concept that most people think about when it's relating to anger.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I'm not angry, so I shouldn't say anything. This doesn't make, I don't like it, but I'm not mad, so I shouldn't say anything. Because if you don't like it, but you're not actually actively angry about it, then we're taught that that's being petty.
That's a really good point.
Hi
Yeah.
everybody. There's a few people that came in. Hi guys. I'm back.
Yeah, no, you're right about it. We and this is what I was saying too, is that if we try to express ourselves then on something that we don't think is important enough, then even if we do try, we have a tendency to self-minimize as we're doing it. Like, I know this is probably not a big deal, but
I'm really sorry to bring this up.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that is actually
guys. I got sign it my tires.
You actually end up retraining yourself to not value your own feelings as much because you self-minimize. You're like, well, this isn't all that big of a deal.
There's a big difference between being assertive versus aggressive, but our society, okay, Pepper Jackie just said there is a big difference between being assertive versus aggressive, but unfortunately, the way things, I don't want to say the way things are right now, I really don't know how to describe it, but for most people, that the difference between assertive and aggressive is actually like a much, there's actually a big fine line area in between where you can't really tell the difference. Because like I said, if you're saying, I don't like it when you do this, it's like, well, why are you making it a big deal if you're not even mad? I've literally had people say that to me. I'm the person that comes across as being aggressive and assertive, and
that's a really good point. Yeah.
I mean, I'm aware of how I come across, and I'll say, hey, that's not really a good idea. You know, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, what do you mean? What's your problem? What's wrong with you? What's this? What's that? Because they're not stopping to think, hey, well, what do you mean? What's going on? Because we don't communicate. If somebody says, I don't like this, we automatically assume a whole lot of anger and whatever going on behind the scenes because we don't generally have these kind of conversations unless somebody is angry.
Yeah, it's true. And we don't think about communicating proactively. And this is kind of just in a nutshell what I think Peggy's getting at is like, we don't communicate in advance of a problem. We kind of wait for the problem and then speak up. Whereas sometimes if something's bothering us a little bit and we speak up right away, we can actually prevent problems, prevent those arguments, prevent those, like if I'm having a day, the cashier example is valid because when Peggy and I were first together.
Oh, this was years ago,
This is like more than a decade.
I forget exactly what happened, but I was teasing her on the checkout line.
And I used to get like almost so embarrassed, I was almost ready to cry. And she didn't know. She's always teased people, and I was really bad at speaking up for myself.
nothing.
Yeah, she was never mean. She was it was just general teasing. But as soon as we were around a stranger, I would get really embarrassed.
Because they don't know you're just teasing. They don't know this. They don't.
Yeah, and I'd be like, what if they think we're really like really a bad person? Or
she actually had valid reasons because at the time I was teasing her, but she wouldn't tease back. So it's like it's making it. And
I didn't even know how.
And it was embarrassing to her because.
And Peggy was kind of clueless, and eventually I finally said, like, this is actually.
You were mad, but you felt like you weren't allowed to say anything until it had bothered you past a certain point.
Like I was just sucking it up, getting more and more upset each time until by the time I finally brought it up, it was a way bigger deal.
Upset,
I was really upset, and I was like,
and I'm like, but I always do this. I always act. I didn't understand.
And this is part of the problem is that I was partly upset because why hadn't she clued in by then that this was bothering me? And this is something else that
my psychic ability to read your mind.
But this is, I think, a really common thing is that we really want the people in our lives. Like, don't we all want this? We want the people in our lives to be so in tune with us and our emotions and our body language and our responses that they'll just know when they're doing something that's bothersome. Because if they do, we never have to say it. And wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be so nice?
Yeah.
But it's not how it goes, and it's not fair. And I do that all the time with Peggy. She does know me really, really, really well. So I sometimes take that for granted. And I'm like, why did you not figure this out?
You tease me at the checkout now.
I do. It's totally different. We're literally like comic relief at the checkout every time we go. But I had to build confidence before I could handle teasing. And so in the beginning, she had to treat me a lot more delicately, I guess. I was a lot more sensitive.
Flower. It was fine.
I needed more confidence in my life.
Yeah, why don't people just know? Well, that's, and that's part of it. Like, I mean, everybody's different.
Yeah.
But no, it's like standing up for yourself is hard. Even like for somebody like me, I'm like, oh, well, blah blah blah, that bugs me, and they'll go, I don't care. But
you're so right, Pepper Jackie. Yeah, it's definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not gender specific at all. This is, I think everybody struggles with this. I don't think this is I don't think this is related to women or men. I think, and it's funny because we're each in our own traps. Like men are socialized in certain ways that creates a trap for them. Women are socialized in certain ways that create a trap for them. Some people are socialized in both ways. Like look at Peggy. You've gotten a bit of a dose of both. Well, sometimes I expect you to be not as emotional because you have that more like blunt, masculine-ish kind of energy, that sometimes I forget that, like, you know, you have feelings.
I'm a girl. I'm still a girl. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, totally.
Well,
it's way bigger than gender.
Well, no two people. Well, gender doesn't. Women are basically. Oh well, women are supposed to be this. Men are supposed to be that. So that's like the baseline that we're working with to begin with, which makes communication between men and women more difficult.
Yeah.
And then you have the baselines of, like, no two families are the same, because every family brings their own family culture into it.
And their own family drama.
Like
their
okay,
own baggage.
like you know, like if you mention certain countries and regions, yeah, I got feelings too, just like a woman.
Sorta.
Sorta. But the thing is, okay, if you say Italian, what do you think of? You're talking about loud. They're this and they're that and they're this and they're that. And then if you talk about, I apparently I only know the aggressive cultures, but if you talk about other cultures, you're like talking about people that value being reserved and quiet and blah blah blah. And we're a very international society now, so we're throwing all sorts of different things together.
There's a ton of conditioning, and there's been a couple good points made in the comment that I just want to address real quick. Excuse me. First of all, we're in Canada, so everything starts with an apology. So I hear.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm really sorry to bring this up, but it's more the passive aggressive. I'm sorry. It's like, I'm really sorry, not sorry, but I'm about to tell you some shit you don't want to hear.
Our sorry is kind of like the South's bless your heart.
Bless your little heart.
Okay, but moving on. Fairy Luna Welf said, "For me, it is a lot easier to stand up for others than for myself. I've even had dreams where this theme has been pointed out to me literally.
Yeah.
This will be a theme in every single week's topic, I almost guarantee you, because in almost anything related to building self-worth, the thing that we're struggling with is way easier to do for somebody else than it is for ourselves. And that's why a lot of the time the challenge that I'll give you, or the journal prompts, will be about thinking about how, or one of the action steps will be about thinking how this impacts the other person. It's easier to work on our behavior when we are people that are more, what's the word? Outwardly, I want to say people pleasing, but the not dysfunctional version of that. When we're more compassionate type people, or generally considerate kind of people, it's sometimes easier to think about, oh, this thing I'm doing that's bad for me is also bad for you. So if I focus on not being bad for you, I also am not bad for me. And that just helped me in the beginning a lot, actually. Yeah, that was a total side. Hopefully some of that made sense.
Yeah, somebody said Canadian and British thing. Canadians are known for our passive aggression.
You really, yeah.
It's, well, we don't see it as passive. We don't see it as being passive aggressive here, because it's just a cultural thing that we do.
Well, sometimes it's just being nice. And
it's like, okay, yeah. It's like, you know, I'm sorry, but you're being a dick. That's what we do. But
take care, Danny. Have a great lunch.
But the thing is that standing up for yourself is such a loaded thing, because if you stand up for yourself right from the beginning, on all the you can't always. It's not always realistic to stand up for yourself about all of the things all of the time, because then it just reflects badly on you. Oh, you're nitpicky. You're nitpicky. You're nitpicky. You're passive aggressive. You're controlling.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that, regardless of how you feel about it, like the crackers at the grocery store.
Stop bringing up the crackers. Hi, Heidi. Think of your partner as a voodoo doll of yourself. Yeah, kind of. It's like, if we can practice compassionate behaviors that we want to turn outward.
With respect. Yeah, with respect.
What?
You know what though?
What's with respect? You just
Cat Whittleson said, I found myself saying with respect in a meeting the other day, and I could almost see people ducking over the phone lines. But here's the thing. That's their problem. It's not yours. You've made the effort. You've made the effort to say, hey, I'm not going to do this in an angry way. You know, with respect, I don't agree with you. And if they're like ducking, that's you can't control that.
Yeah, I think it's more. But so
this is a hard one. This is a very convoluted one.
Yeah.
Because we all are motivated to stand up for ourselves at different times, in different ways, over different things.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, environment, peers, upbringing, and
the problem is a lot of it is what we do to ourselves. We pressure ourselves to do we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to handle situations in a way that we think is helpful, that we think is good, and then when we're in a high pressure situation on top of that, we stumble all over ourselves. Peggy calls it laying eggshells at our own feet.
Yeah.
We overthink how to, I do this. I overthink how to approach something so much that by the time I do, I'm just waiting to screw up. And because I'm waiting to screw up, I'm more likely to screw up. Does that make any sense?
And so but then when it comes to defending yourself, when it comes to standing up for yourself, you're now doing it from one of two things. You're either anxious and overthinking because you've been letting it eat at you for a while. It's like, okay, I need to do this. And now you're freaking out. Or something has happened, and because you haven't gotten any practice at it, something has happened, you're upset, you're mad, you're angry, and now you're standing up for yourself. So you've got these two things. There's no happy medium where you go, hey, that kind of bothers me, so let's just talk about it now before it turns in. Like, okay, I keep saying show of hands, but who has ever said to somebody, it's like, hey, I just noticed this, so maybe we should work this out now before it becomes a thing? Because that's not something... If you're working
That's what I meant earlier about proactive communication.
But proactive communication is difficult because it can be seen as petty, micromanaging, controlling, because that's how we're taught to. If it's over something that they're not going to think it's an important thing, they're going to think I'm just being petty. Because that's something else that we do is we try and take the other people's feelings into consideration.
There's another really interesting point here that was made earlier, and the comment is scrolled, so I think it was either Pepper Jackie, I think it might have been Pepper Jackie, but I'm not sure. But somebody mentioned how if people, when you do stand up, if you do say, this thing that you're doing really bothers me, if that person can't respect that boundary, then, they can go. And I think this is actually really important, and I think this is actually a factor why some of us struggle to stand up for ourselves in certain contexts. I'm talking with my hand, so I can't hold your hand right now. I'm
just doing this.
I'm gesturing.
You gesture. You're fine.
But the thing is, so because we're in that situation, it was Pepper Jackie. Oh, good. Because we're in that situation where we know that once we know that somebody isn't going to respect our boundaries, we also know that we can't necessarily encourage that kind of person in our lives to a certain degree. If you know that, then you might hesitate to speak up so that you don't have to find that out about somebody. It's a bit of a weird cyclical thing.
But it's a very lonely path to say, I need to remove these toxic people from my life because it's
difficult.
Because there's always...
I want to tell you this because this is personal experience. This is what legitimately happened to me. When I started I had never, ever, ever stood up for myself. And I hit this point when I was around 20, 21, maybe a little older, where I suddenly was working very actively on my self-worth, and I was starting to practice establishing boundaries where previously I'd had virtually none, and I was starting to establish a practice of speaking up when people crossed those boundaries, especially if they crossed them after I established them and made clear, hey, this is a boundary. And the people in my life, there was a good portion, I'd say 50-60% or more, were blindsided. Because these were people who I think were at that time attracted to me because of my complete lack of boundaries.
Oh, absolutely.
And so when I suddenly changed the rules, and I remember having a conversation with a then very close friend where I said, look, I know that I've changed the rules. I know that this is something I've never talked about bothering me before. I know that this is new for you, and I understand that it's going to take some time to process that, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a boundary, and I need you to respect it. And that person kind of didn't do that very well.
She lost her ever-loving mind.
So, without getting into detail, that person left, and a lot of other people in my life also had to go for the same exact reason, because they just couldn't wrap their mind around this person who had said yes to everything before suddenly saying no. And so
she couldn't handle it.
It's not something I'm saying is easy, and I'm not saying it's not scary, because it's all of those things. But oh boy, now the people in my life that I have in my life, they know that I have boundaries. They still want to hang out with me. Yay. And they respect those boundaries, and they also know that.
But it's a massive. See, the thing is, once you reach a point,
it's like you can't unsee it once you see it.
There's a massive transition.
It's huge. Yeah.
There's a massive transition because every one of us has our things that aren't necessarily healthy for us, but because of those things, it's attracted other people into our lives. It's like, oh well, now that I'm going to do this, now that I'm going to improve myself in this way, but it's on them to be grown-ups, and I mean.
You're right, Jezebel, too. Sometimes it's just, there's some people where it's not even worth standing up for yourself. You're like, I don't know you. You're a stranger on the internet, and I'm done with you. I get that. Sometimes that's a thing.
Yeah, internet's
right?
easy, click.
Yeah. And that's actually why we had such a strong start to our relationship, because we were on the internet. So if either one of us was a jerk, we could just be like, bye.
Well, yeah. Neither one of us, we had such a unique combination of things going on that it just made it really easy for us to actually get to know each other without playing games.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what Pepper Jackie said, like, if they can't,
It's true, Elle. Yeah.
If they can't deal with it, they're not worth having around, and that's hard. But see, that is a separate topic.
Yeah, this
But
is huge,
when
and
you
we are
start-
going to cover boundaries kind of
But
separately.
the thing is that when you're talking about standing up for yourself and things like that, you're going to encounter people who aren't okay with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the thing to realize is that if you've reached the point where you need to have a generic talk, if you've reached the point where I need to start standing up for myself with this person, you're probably not going to miss them if they're gone.
Well, yes and no. Like, I mean,
Well,
I've
you'll
had
miss-
that with you. Like, and
you'll
I
miss
wasn't
the
going to, like,
idea of
banning
them.
you.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, but
one of the things I talk.
But here's the thing: if you tell somebody, "Look, I need to stand up for myself on these issues. This is some stuff that we need to resolve." Blah 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 blah. If they're not willing to resolve it, then but that's a separate issue down the road that nobody wants to. I certainly don't like dealing with that.
That's true.
If I'm like, oh hey, blah blah, I don't like the thing, and they're like, well, screw you, you're not my friend if you don't like the thing. It's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good.
And I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, there's a.
And nobody does.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of really good comments coming through. I wanted to circle back a little bit to one thing I said, which is I think important. You need to know when you're ready to stand up for yourself about a particular topic. You need to be clear with yourself going into that conversation. I mentioned this in the video about whether what you're about to talk about with that person is up for negotiation and discussion, or whether it's like this needs to stop, or I'm not okay with it. You need to know that going in, because if you don't communicate that clearly to the other person in the beginning, then they might think that this is a back and forth discussion about what is and isn't.
Well, now they're thinking it's a negotiation.
And sometimes they are negotiations. Okay, like with the red shirt comment. That person might go, okay, well, I really like red. Is it all reds, or is it certain kinds of reds? Is it pinks? Like, what am I...
There's always room to negotiate.
No, I disagree. There isn't always room to negotiate. There's things that are just straight up hard limits. And that's the thing. You might have a thing where you're like,
But that's boundaries, and that's not standing up for yourself.
But this is what you're kind of missing my point, I think. I'm literally saying that you need to know going into the conversation, is this negotiable or isn't it? So that you can communicate clearly with the other person. Like, I covered that in the video. I think it's about
but here's the thing, is that, like I said, standing up for yourself is such a huge range. It's like, what if I have a habit of always walking down the hall and expecting you to walk around me? It's right. So it's like do, which I do anyway because I'm a jerk.
You're not that bad for that.
So it's like, so your boundary is like, dude, you come barreling down the hall and don't even give me any space. Like, come on, stop being so rude. Now that's a different kind of standing up for yourself than...
That's aggressive, not assertive.
Okay, that's how I would word myself because I'm aggressive. But the thing is, it's still standing up. Okay, so it's regardless of how you're going to have the conversation, you're obviously not going to take days and days and days to think this through. You're going to go, excuse me, you can move too. Right? You know what I mean? So that's a little...
Oh, yeah. There's different things.
Standing up for yourself is a massive range of...
Yeah, because you could stand up for yourself over something small or
something
somebody
big. Is your coworker sitting at their desk clicking their pen all day? It's like, dude, you need to stop doing that. You need to have it's like, okay, I'm trying to tolerate this, but it's not working. I do need you to stop. That's a separate conversation then. Dude, you are literally bouncing me into a wall.
But these are, see, what you're talking about is different approaches, and what I was saying is
no, I'm just talking about different extremes.
Yeah, but I don't want to completely side rail because I do want to open this part up for.
But are you more like, because there's the constructive. This is bothering me. We need to fix it.
But this is a different topic than what I was bringing up, because you're right. You're right. There is the are we trying to just there's. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it can end up. I've done this to you. It can be a bit of a trap if you go into the conversation and you know that something's bothering you enough that you really want / need that other person to completely stop, and it is not something you are open to discussing or debating. You need to be clear about that up front so you're not laying a trap for the other person who thinks they're going to have a conversation when really you're just saying, please stop. Like with the cashier example, I could have approached that conversation and said, it's, hey, this is kind of bothering me. And then you could come back and say, okay, well, is it all the time, or is it this, or is it that? But if I went in and said, it's bothering me enough that I think I need a break from it, like I think I need you to just stop for a while or permanently, then I need to own that so that it's not a trap for you. That's kind of what I'm saying.
You know what I just realized? I think the thing is that we have to train ourselves. To approach other people as if... I'm not sure. I just had the right thought. I'm not sure if I can put this in words. We have to train ourselves to always interact with other people with the idea in mind that the other person will be happy to accommodate what we want, so that we can stand up to ourselves in a happy, healthy, proactive way, because the The other guy is perfectly happy to accommodate what it is that I want, as long as I let him know in a way that gives him an opportunity to be a part of the process versus feeling like he's just being crapped all over because I don't like what you did.
And that
or
one,
controlled
yeah,
or
that's
micromanaged.
totally true. And
But-
in that
but
one
if-
example, it was basically saying there's a difference between standing up for yourself and making demands. You can ask and request a behavior change, but at the end of the day, it's still up to the other person to comply or not, and then up to you to decide what you want to do about that. Because you can't always expect that everything you stand up for yourself about is going to be an automatic yes from the other guy. And sometimes you need to figure out how important is this to me.
What Lulu said, like, not everybody is going to want to accommodate.
Exactly.
The thing is that how okay, if somebody's not going to want to accommodate, so you are already in, so now you're not standing up for yourself. Now you're going to negotiate.
Yeah.
Because you don't want this person to be upset. You whatever. So
or
it's
you
like
back off. Is that what you're saying?
It's
like
like,
when
or you back off because
midpoint.
that's what we end up. That is what
that
is what we end up doing to ourselves. We always walk into these encounters, regardless of whether it's somebody's clicking their pen versus somebody's barreling down the hall and hurting me every day. We always go into these encounters. The other guy's not going to want to stop. And how can we negotiate, accommodate? How can we go back and forth on this so that I'm not going to lose my good relationship with this person or whatever? And that's on them.
Yeah, that comes back to
that's on them. So if we
the only part you're responsible for is for admitting and sharing the fact that something is
upsetting.
Or
my way or the highway attitudes and stuff like that.
Yeah, the only thing you are responsible for is communicating where you're coming from, so that the other person has all the information. Now, if you tell somebody this is really upsetting me and hurting my feelings, and they choose to keep doing it, they at least have all the information. So when you say, "Hey, you're hurting my feelings," and I've already told you you're hurting my feelings, they're not going to be surprised because you've spoken up. And I think that's part of it too.
I mean, Heather had a point. Negotiation is just compromise and not necessarily a bad thing, and it's not.
Agree.
This is where I keep saying is that there the standing up for yourself can cover such an extreme variety of situations that sometimes you do need to go negotiate. Sometimes you just simply need to state this is not okay. I need you to stop. And it's a huge.
And that's kind of what I was saying. Just be clear going in. How strongly you feel, so that you know.
I don't know if it's. But
there are deal breakers. If somebody's like touching me inappropriately, that is a deal breaker. I'm not open to negotiation. I'm going to say, "Hey, this is bothering me. You need to stop." And if they say no, or if they act like they don't get it, that person is gone by. But there's also situations where it's totally compromise and conversation, and that's
I think
healthy.
like I said, I think this is just a huge, massive. This is a subject that you can't necessarily cover in one or two videos, because here's the thing. Oh, think about what you want going into it. Think about this. Think about this. Think about this. And now you're back into managing the situation before you even encountered the issue with. But managing the situation in advance of even communicating with the other person. And I think we need to start giving ourselves permission to communicate with these people with the confidence that if this person gives a damn about me, they're going to be happy to find a way to work this out with me versus turning it into a confrontation.
I agree. I'm not saying.
It depends.
I'm not saying to over control the outcome. I'm saying if you already know going in that something you're going to speak up about is not something you're open to negotiation about, and it provides, then it's good to be clear about it.
But you shouldn't spend 6 months agonizing.
No, God, no. I hope I didn't come across that way.
I'm going to start giving him this hint, and if he doesn't take the hint, then
I wasn't saying that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I
hope I didn't come across that way, because that's not what I'm saying.
This is a bad habit that we already have as people.
Gotcha. Now I'm with you.
So it can be a very slippery slope to say, oh, think about what you want going in. But also realize you don't need to let this other person continue to do something to you for months and months and months while you agonize incessantly about how you're going to deal with it.
Yeah. Jezebel and Kat are actually making really good points right now about the idea of safe words and like traffic lights. So for people who don't know, there's a thing about being able to communicate where you're at limits-wise or with comfort that comes from sort of the kink community, where you talk about like green is everything's good, yellow is I'm not sure, red is like hard stop, and how that could be beneficial in our relationships and in our platonic communications with people too. I think it's good to be able to communicate. This is a green zone for me. This is I'm not sure, like with the teasing. I got better at saying, I think I'm okay, but I'm not sure, or this is too much, or I'm good, it's fine.
Safe words.
And I definitely got to that point where I could do that, but it took practice, like a lot of
Yeah,
practice.
but there's also I'm sorry. You know what? I'm just still kind of I'm kind of more in the big picture thing right now because it's like if you do something, I'm married to you. I have a whole different list of incentives and reasons
why you want to be open to the discussion.
why I want to say, of course we need to work this out. Of course we can talk about it. Of course you can tell me how you're feeling. And if I've got some guy I've never met before walking down the street going, you need to not wear that shirt again, I'm gonna be like, screw you, buddy. Like, come on. Yeah. I don't. It's like
that's
sure,
and I'm being a wide range of where you might stand up for
yourself. It's a huge thing because we have so many areas in our life where we have a need to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah, like Caroline says, if I feel you have to figure out if it's a one-time situation
or
a character flaw in the person you're dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And it gets so convoluted so fast. But the thing is that you have to give yourself the confidence to know that is. You have to give yourself the confidence to still speak up anyway and say, hey, blah, blah, because somebody might have a character flaw and it's like, okay, well, this bothers me when you do this. So when you're doing this, can you like not do it around me?
You might be surprised. Sometimes we think people are more stubborn about stuff than they are, or sometimes we think people are doing, they know something they're doing is troublesome or problematic and they're doing it anyway. And we're like, oh, this person's just a jerk because they keep doing blah. And they might not have any idea they're doing it. It might be completely mindless, automatic, knee-jerk conditioning that they've got.
They think it's funny and have no idea that nobody else is laughing.
Look at some of the stuff that I've dealt with. Look at some of the stuff that I've dealt with though, where I'll be doing something because it's what was modeled for me. It's just it feels natural, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. And Peggy will be like, "You're doing this particular thing again," and I'll be like, "Wait, what?" And she'll be like, "Yeah, you're doing this particular thing," and I'm like, "What?" And so we'll have to discuss it, but I had no idea I was doing something bothersome. So a lot of times we might think how could they not realize this is an annoying thing or a problematic thing? And they just literally don't.
Well, and it's clear communication.
Blind spots. Yes, Caroline. Yes.
Yeah. No, it's all about the clear communication and giving yourself permission to communicate how you're thinking and how you're feeling without the need to apologize or I mean, I get it. You want to be considerate if you're standing up for yourself because somebody is being overtly problematic, that's a completely different thing. It's like, hey, you need to stop doing that. And you can stand up for yourself and just say that, hey, you need to stop doing that and let the other person be a grown-up or not. But I think there's other times when you need to be more respectful and communicate. But you got to give yourself permission to say, I can say this to you and your reaction is not my responsibility.
It's the whole keeping your own side of the street clean. You're only responsible for your side of the street. But I mean, that being said, I will say that you are more likely... And it's really hard to do this in the moment, but you're way more likely to get a positive response if you make it about, hey, this thing that you're doing affects me in this way, and this is how it makes me feel. And that, it sounds like just cheesy talk, like cliche, I guess, but I feel statements are a good way to not make the other person feel like they're just being attacked. And I think that's a really important skill that we could all do better at typically. Yeah. For sure I can do better at that. But so I try to like kind of.
I actually have an example. Okay, like Pepper Jackie said, I have not worn my body spray around someone because of their breathing issues. Health is a different issue, but their friendship is more important to me than the smelling sweet. We were doing a thing where we know a lot of people that are sensitive, which is fine. And at one point, Lisa was teaching a yoga class in the house here, and we literally had somebody ask us, well, blah, what about scent? What are you doing to make your house? This was at home, scent free. And they got perturbed. I don't blame them for asking. That's if they feel they have an issue with scent. But they got perturbed that we said, well, there's not really anything that we can do. This is our house. We live here. So kudos on them for speaking up with what they needed. But at the same time, we had to stand up for ourselves and say, we live here full time. We're not going to change our entire lifestyle to accommodate somebody. If in the next time Lisa has a public class, we'll let you know.
Perturbed is a good word.
Well, yeah, like I mean, this was not an aggressive confrontation. This person let us know what it was that they needed, and we let her know. But we actually there was actually a bit of agonizing on our part. Well, what can we do about it? Can we air the house out? Can we do this? Can we do that? And it's like, well, what happens on the day that we can't?
Yeah.
It's like we cannot do this. So we stood up. We stood up for ourselves. And like I said, it's a very generic example, but we stood up for ourselves by saying, we're very sorry. This is our home. There's nothing we can do to control scents 24/7 so that you can be here for an hour a week.
Well, I think it's a lot different too. Let's talk about like friendships versus.
Well, look, that's why we used it as a generic. The other person wasn't particularly upset or freaking out. It was just a conversation that happened, and you can see.
Yeah, exactly, Pepper Jackies. Yeah, so basically, it's kind of like everything should be weighed against how important that other person is to you generally, and how much is reasonable to, and how much you feel is reasonable to accommodate, for lack of a better way to express it. Obviously, we want to, for people we genuinely care about, we want to do what we can to accommodate, but at the same time, you know, there's a point where you have to kind of define what's realistic for you. Discombobulated is a really good word. I have to sneeze.
No, I'm just saying,
oh
like,
my God.
like I said, as an example of standing up for yourself, it's pretty weak, but it's a pretty good example of how sometimes you just have to say what needs to be said.
Oh my God, Elle.
No, that is a good safe word.
Discombobulated.
Discombobulated.
That'd be hard to say in a hurry, though.
But
oh my gosh. But anyways, I mean, so without going.
I
too
know.
far,
You know what I call it? Hamster farts. Chew, chew.
Thanks for that, babe.
Hamster farts.
Thanks for
chew.
that. Thanks.
Chew, chew.
Stop it. Stop! Oh my God. Oh. Anyways, back to standing up for ourselves.
You're so red. I'm disappearing, guys. I'm disappearing.
Anyways, standing up for ourselves. Yeah. Like Peggy said, there's like a wide range, and there's standing up for yourself with people that you know. There's standing up for yourself with people that you don't know. There's people whose relationship you're invested in, like as close as a marriage or a partnership. There's business relationships where you have to tread in a certain way to preserve those relationships. But you can still, especially if you start with how you're feeling and don't come out of the gate with like a million reasons why that's justified, you can have productive conversations with people, even over very charged situations, if you're willing to just kind of be in this space to talk about it in a really straightforward way.
Now it's a Peggy chat. There has to be a fart.
Of course.
Thanks, Jezebel.
Or because you said hamster fart.
But yeah, no, it's like, here's the thing. It's always, always, always stressful to stand up for yourself. Always. There is no, like, it is stressful for me to stand up for myself. If somebody, it's like, it is always stressful because you never, especially, it depends on the situation and it depends on who's around you. But like, I've stood up for myself on the job and gotten fired.
Yeah, that's true.
So it is always stressful to stand up for yourself. And sometimes before you stand up for yourself, you do have to think ahead of what could the outcome be. So sometimes you're like, okay, this outcome could be incredibly problematic.
That's
like,
true.
you know, I was jobless. That was fun. So sometimes you're like, okay, I just need to pretend this doesn't exist. But then you need to make, then that goes into other territory of removing yourself from the situation, because obviously that's toxic.
It's such a trap because
when the time comes to speak up, you have to be able to do it with a sense of, I'm speaking up because I have a right to. If you can't be a grown-up about it, then there could be consequences.
And this is where it's a trap, though, because people like me...
Business relationships make it the hardest. That's what Amethyst just said.
Yeah, people like me, and I'm sure other people struggle with this too, but part of the reason it's so tempting to... Part of the reason it's so tempting to try to plan out what all the possible responses could be is because we really want a particular outcome when we're ready to speak up. And so we're hoping that we can line things up just properly and say the right things at the right times, that the conversation will go our way. That's human. That's normal. It's also a total trap for both you and the other person, because if you overplan like that, you're not going to be good at thinking on the fly. Well, if you're open to what the other person actually is saying to you.
Well, if you overplan, you've already planned for all of their objections, all of their this, all of their that. It's now a one-sided conversation, and they're just the poor victim.
Oh my God, fart is a safe word.
Fart is a safe. Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. That would work. That would be effective.
Fart. You're still here.
Because you're not. Actually...
Fart.
Do you see? No, don't even. Do you guys see what you've done? Stop encouraging her.
But yeah, here's the thing.
You have a new name, Lucy. Moon Priestess.
Yay.
Moon Priestess. You lost your job too, but got a better one. I mean, and that's
the thing. No, I got a better one too, but it's stressful. It's like, so there are situations. So this is another level of complication. There are situations where standing up for yourself is a problem. And again, I know most of you guys, I know everybody's straight, and that's a fine. But standing
up. Did you say everybody's straight?
In the group. Well, most.
You think everybody in the group is straight?
Most of the group is straight.
Well, Look at Peggy making them wide sweeping generalizations.
Wide sweeping
I would
generalizations.
just stop talking right now. You're just keep digging.
Well,
a
I
hole
had a good
deeper.
example. Like if somebody says something and you come up and you defend yourself, if you stand up for yourself as a gay person in an environment that's not okay with it, like
You're thinking like if you walk into like a hardcore conservative biker bar or something.
yeah, it's like, oh, me and my boyfriend want to drink, me and my girlfriend want to drink. You're not gonna stand up for yourself.
There's a little bit of self-preservation
But
in
it's
standing up
also
for
like-
yourself that is an important factor. I definitely agree about
But
that.
it's like, you know, okay, like you
See, look at you making all kinds of
You
look at
come
that. Look at everybody's like now everybody's outing their
yeah,
sexuality.
yeah,
because
it's
you made them-
okay, guys. I'm just
Peggy's
trying,
just being
I'm just trying to be
dick.
respectful and not make it about. I'm not trying to make it about being gay, because that's not the topic today. So I'm trying to
You
be
should
like,
have come up with a different example.
it's okay, it's okay. Anyway, no, I'm just saying like,
Oh, look at Peggy.
heteronormative, yeah.
Oh.
Ooh, thanks, Elle. Wow, your name does not go on the list for any sort of a contest today.
Everybody's welcome here. This is a safe place.
Okay, but here's the example. It's like, okay, standing up for yourself. So you've just had the conversation with your family, and they say, don't tell the rest of your relatives, they can't handle it. Well, I'm going to stand up for myself and go tell everybody, and then you can't figure out why nobody wants to talk to you anymore.
This is a whole rabbit hole we should not be going
no,
down because it's so unique to people. I think we need a completely non-charged example.
Well, no, but this is the thing. This is the most obvious example to me, which is why I'm using it, is because it can be something that you feel that you need to stand up for yourself on can be so catastrophically problematic in the right circumstance.
That's true. I think there might be better examples, but yeah, you're right.
No. I mean, everybody. There's better examples.
Basically, Peggy's point, I think, in distilled form, I think what she's trying to say is that like you have to consider for yourself what those possible consequences will be. Like some people will go, "Hey, if my whole family can't deal, then screw them," and that's totally valid. And some people might
still
be
not
like,
allowed to tell my oldest sister.
Yeah,
exactly.
and some people might be like, this relationship, like you had this with the one, was your aunt.
My aunt, yeah.
You had the one aunt where you're like, okay, this person, it's not worth the battle. She's really old. I don't really want to go through that with her. I just want to enjoy the time I have left with her. Those are also valid. Like, there's no, and that's what Peggy is saying. She's kind of saying, like, you just need to know.
I need to be translated.
Yeah, you do.
I need to be translated.
You. Yeah.
Thing is,
sometimes I need to be translated.
Is that standing up for yourself always comes with limits and barriers, and
you're right.
We already have a problematic concept around the idea of standing up for yourself to begin with, because if you stand up for yourself about little things, then you're being petty, nitpicky. If you stand up for yourself about big things, it usually only happens after some sort of an event, which means that you're generally approaching it from a place of upset and anger. Yeah. There's and then you've got family considerations if it's a family situation, and like I said, that example might have been a bad one, but I think it's,
Celtic Morningstar says discretion is the better part of valor.
Exactly, but we are so taught to always employ discretion, to the point where we don't necessarily feel like we're allowed to engage in standing up for ourselves. It's like, oh, well, you know, it's just a petty thing, I need to get over it. It's just a petty thing, I need to get over it.
That's where we minimize
ourselves. Suddenly you've got this perfectly lovely person in your life who does a bunch of petty little things that you don't like, and because you just need to get over it, suddenly you don't like this person anymore, and you can't figure out why. Mm-hmm. Can't put my finger on it, but I just don't like so-and-so. Mm-hmm. It's like, because you've got a bunch of little things that you could be sorting out with this person that you can't, because you're not. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, everybody needs to decide for themselves what consequences.
Hey, I was married to a man, Simon.
Everyone needs to decide for themselves what consequences do and don't.
Yes, everything comes with a price.
I know, but I was saying something.
I don't care. I wasn't listening to you.
Peggy's
wait,
being
what?
bad again.
I'm not being
Anyways,
bad.
I'm gonna try the third time. Maybe I'll get it out. That was passive aggressive. I learned from Peggy. Everybody does need to decide what consequences they are and aren't willing to accept. So some consequences might feel too big. Some might feel totally acceptable. It just totally is up to you to define that for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with you.
No. You're making sense. And like the thing is that range varies with the situation and the person.
Totally.
And my God, it's fucking confusing. It is confusing as hell. Who should I? You know, it's like, oh, I shouldn't stand up to this person because they could fire me, but I should stand up to this person because I have to deal with this idiot every day. But if I
and then there's the I should, but I should in this way, and it is a very complex thing. I think for a lot of us, from a just
Oh yes, and then we're worried about what they might think of us.
Mm-hmm.
Love you. Go
Love you
ahead,
too.
try. Keep trying. You'll be fine.
From just a day to
You'll be
day.
fine. Keep trying. It's okay.
From just a day-to-day perspective, the little ways day-to-day in our interpersonal relationships, which I think is the thing that most of us are trying to actively work on. I actually think for some of us, standing up with people that we are not interpersonally connected to is easier in some way, because it's not as vulnerable feeling or tender. Now, workplaces, that's slightly different because you might be jeopardizing your job, but I think for most of us, where we're really struggling is the smaller ways we stand up for ourselves day to day. When we try it, when we're not sure if it's worth it, like Peggy was saying, we're not sure if it's petty, we're not sure if it's valid.
Because we have no scale. We have no, our society has no scale to put this into perspective for us.
It's totally true. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of us really struggle. I'm seeing all kinds of smiley, happy faces. You guys are doing something bad. It's probably Elle. It's probably Elle's fault. Yep, I see Elle's name everywhere. What'd she do? What'd you do, Elle? Elle did something bad. Oh,
okay.
Is that my third? Wait, has she fainted? Oh, sorry, just woke up from fainting. Oh, good Lord.
Somebody farted. She fainted. It just the way it went.
Those two together. Oh my goodness. Simon and Elle, you guys are
egging each other on. No wonder Becca keeps putting you two in the back of the room.
Is it you two? Are you guys the ones that are always in trouble in Becca's lives? Oh dear.
But
she fainted because she had heard Simon was married to a woman.
Oh,
where have you been? I'm just kidding. I knew that. Yeah, you were married to a guy.
I was married to a man.
He was a bad man.
He was an idiot.
He's a very bad man.
Good kids though.
Great kids.
Yeah.
Bad man. Not that I'm biased.
Steven's in the back going, yay.
Oh, doing something bad, la la la. Yeah, there's something bad happening.
But yeah, no, it's like I think what it is you have to start yourself baby steps and just give yourself permission to say I don't like that.
Yeah, it's hard though.
I don't like it.
It's hard in small ways. I think the small stuff, like I said, is actually harder. It's like and that's why the challenge this week is to just try to speak up about one little insignificant kind of thing.
Well, yeah, because for some people it's like. They wait till it's really getting on their nerves and they're like, oh my effing God, why are you fucking, and they freak out. Or they just sit there and they take it and they take it and they take it. And I'm just going to start avoiding that person now because I don't like this thing and they won't change.
Somebody said that actually. I can't remember who mentioned it in the chat, but just that it gets easier to like avoid and tell yourself, oh, it's fine. I'm not being avoidant. I'm not avoiding this situation or this person. And you know, it's tricky. It's tricky for sure. And I am classic. My biggest thing that I'm always trying to actively work on and still kind of sucking at most of the time is when I bring something up to Peggy, like I think I'm standing up for myself and then I do the word vomit thing where I'm like, here's this thing that's bothering me and now just sit there and shut up for like the next 5 minutes while I tell you all the reasons why this is bothering me, why it's not okay, so that by the time I've stopped talking, she's like, shell shocked, like, oh God, if I say one wrong word, we're gonna have a fight now.
The pressure cooker. The pressure cooker. Well, that's for me personally, my opinion has been that we all need to practice expressing ourselves before count to 5, and we all need to stand up for ourselves.
Who counts to 5 though, really? Like I don't.
We need to do the count. We need to do the count to 5 thing, and either go, okay, I need to address this before I get upset, so that we can avoid because that, if you address it before you get upset.
Definitely about being proactive rather than reactive, for sure.
But if you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like, hey, why? I'm not sure why you just did that, but that kind of really upset me.
You tell me this a lot, is that if I would just ask the question before...
You either have to push yourself forward or pull yourself back.
Yes.
So that you're in that happy medium so that you're not approaching this from such a timid place that the other person's not going to take you seriously, or approach it from such an upset place that the other person's going to feel like you are just rage monstering all over them.
Who's the rage monster? I'm not a rage monster. I'm never the rage monster. I'm not a rage monster.
I don't even have to talk.
Because you're just giving me that look. I don't do that. I do that all the time. All the time. All the time.
She's fun. But it's like...
Communication is hard, yo.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know the word equanimity. I had a second just to connect.
My word of the year is flow.
Yeah, it's like so if you're like it's like, well, should I or shouldn't I? It's not that big of a deal. It's like, well, you're noticing it, so it's probably something worth mentioning. If hey, is there any way we can work this out because this bothers me?
That
But if you're at the other end, because you can come across, I used to be really bad for this, coming across as being really belligerent and aggressive. Because if I didn't like something, I would speak up. But because nobody else knew how to freaking deal with that, because I was blunt, still am, but I'm
No.
much. Oh, you should just gasp.
Oh,
But yeah, it's like.
But this makes me think of a thing where
Yeah, how to stand up for yourself at work. That's a hard one because sometimes you just have to put your head down, mouth shut, and think of the paycheck, and that's hard.
but it depends on what you're standing up about. There are things like you're not getting paid fairly for the work that you do. And I think it's important with work to consider your current life circumstances. Can you afford for it to go super, super sideways and have to look for a new job? I think that's always something we need to think about. Can you afford for the relationship to go a little funky if the conversation goes particularly sideways? And if you've considered those things and decided that this is worth speaking up for example, not getting paid enough, then it's worth it to say, here's what I bring to the table and I would like to have a discussion about compensation. I feel like I'm contributing this, and this, and I wanted to check in. There's ways to do it at work where you can maintain that professionalism, and if you're standing up to a boss or superior in some way where you can still do that in a respectful way. But I do think it's important to consider where you're at in your life, what you know of that person, what you can afford if things go wrong.
Yeah, boss doesn't do any work and you can't tell anybody. I mean, honestly, sooner or later, I'll tell you right now, sooner or later, if you have a situation like that, first question to ask yourself, this is like just logistics. First question to ask yourself, if the higher ups knew how lazy your boss was, would they do anything about it?
That's a really important point.
That's the first point. And if you have an opportunity to find out what their policy is, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I mean, I think there's a couple people who could be working harder if they go, oh, who are they? We're going to do something about it. Then you just name the guy. Name the guy and get over it. Because I'll tell you right now, lazy bosses who don't do any work are just, they are just pariahs.
And also, some people have...
I have strong opinions about lazy bosses.
And it's valid.
Here's
the thing, though. You know what they say? People who most
work is tricky.
People who most desire positions of power are often the least suited for it. Peggy's looking at my hairy legs. She's like literally like, oh my god, she's like the
right, it's winter. We'll put that back.
Oh my god! What is actually happening right now? You're such a dick. Wow, look at her face. She's so pleased with herself too.
You're gonna call me a bitch.
No,
bastard?
I don't know. Lots of names are roiling around in my head, and it's like, which one do I choose? There's so many. Sorry for the sidetrack. Anyway, welcome back. You didn't miss nothing, Marge. Nothing at all. Jesus, Alice. So the thing is, as far as being too nice, are you not speaking up because you're being too nice, or are you not speaking up because you don't like? Are you not speaking up because you know that they'll do something about it, and you don't want the boss to like lose their job because that would make you feel bad? Or is it actually that you're just not wanting to be a whistleblower? Because that's totally valid also.
Well,
it doesn't necessarily mean you're just being too nice. So I think it's important to look at the whole picture.
Look at that guy that you worked with that was sleeping on the job.
Leg warmers, Caroline. Yes, it's cold outside.
Yes.
I need my fur. Peggy's cutting my leg.
You should comb it more. Maybe braid it.
What the heck? I'm gonna beat you so hard.
You scared.
Did it actually hurt?
No, remember
I didn't leave a handprint, so we're fine.
Do you remember that guy? That guy that you worked with that was literally sleeping on the job every single day? And what did they decide? Oh, but how's he going to support his family? It's like, well, maybe he should have thought of that before he decided that napping was more important than working.
Sometimes having management that isn't willing to deal with something is something you kind of know up front. And if you know that, then why would you put yourself in that position? And that's a valid place to be. If you think they might scared to get in trouble. If you're scared to get in trouble from your direct boss.
Okay, but ask yourself this: how easy is it going to be to get another job?
Yeah.
Because I've been in that. I have been in that situation where it's like, if they don't deal with this, I am not staying because this is gross. And I've spoken up and I've had it and it's been fixed. I've spoken up and it hasn't been fixed.
Yeah, totally.
But the thing is,
and I think Farah asked a question. Hold on. How do I appear more confident? I tell you, I got a trick for this. You just.
What would Peggy do?
No.
Ask yourself, what would Peggy do, and scale it back by 30%.
This is mine.
What?
Shut up.
What?
That's me standing up for
I
myself.
gotta pee anyway.
Yeah, go pee.
Oh my god, she gives me coffee, and then I have
She
to
gives
pee.
herself coffee. Anyway, as far here's my
shit,
tip
that
on
hurts.
appearing confident. Fake it. It's the best tip. It works for me so good. You just literally fake it until you make it. Pretend you're confident. And there's actually a thing you can do that chemically alters your brain. And there's a TED Talk on this, if I can think of it, or if anybody knows which one I'm talking about. But it's all about actually changing your physical body posture. Literally does make you feel more confident. There was an experiment done where right before like an interview, like a faux interview, this was like a scientific, like a psychological experiment. They had a group of people, and some of the people they instructed to sit in a like slouchy, like looking down kind of way for 10 minutes before the interview. And then another group of people, they told them to stand like hands on hips, legs wide open, like taking up space on the floor, chin lifted for 10 minutes before going in for this interview. And they studied the results, and essentially the people that adopted a confident posture, it literally did not matter what they felt like. The people that adopted a confident posture went into that interview with way more charisma, confidence, and self-belief than the other people who had slouched and kind of looked down. Those people went in being more meek and quiet and reserved and less self-confidence than the person who did the, power stand. So literally, if you want to feel more confident, and this, they actually measured, I believe, chemical changes in the brain too, but if you want to feel more confident in a situation, adopt an open, confident posture. Convince yourself that you can pretend to be confident, and if you do that enough, you actually start to feel more confident. It's actually cool and magical in all the good ways. Yes.
Yeah, now I need a wee. You know what it is? She lets me sleep in, so I'm gonna chug.
Yeah. I haven't even had my
That's okay.
second coffee yet, which is amazing.
That's okay.
Usually I'm pouring my second cup for the live chat, but today this is my first.
I think, you know what
it's
though?
empty, and I'm
The
sad.
interesting thing is that
You're welcome, Farah.
whether or not you're acting confident.
Yeah, I know Ash gets it. Sorry. I'm doing the thing I get mad at you for doing.
What?
Where you were starting to talk and I got distracted by comments. Do as I say, don't do as I do.
Now, I don't know. Confidence is an interesting thing because, I mean, some of the people respond differently to confidence. Like, some people think of confidence as just being an arrogant ass. Some people think of it as being a positive thing. Everybody just responds to everybody else differently, and just relax with the idea that no matter how it is that you project yourself, people are going to respond to you in a variety of ways, no matter how you're acting, how you're behaving and projecting.
One of the simplest things, body language wise, to practice if you're having a conversation might be difficult for you to feel confident.
Yeah, you have to pretend to be asleep to actually fall asleep.
For you to feel confident about is
You're gonna pet my
I am
arm?
petting you because I'm hoping you'll stop. I'm just kidding. Not really. I'm really hormonal, by the way. Just
oh my gosh, she is hormonal.
Anyways, but that being said, I was just gonna say, one of the simplest body language things you can do is look other people, the world, in the face. Whether you're walking down the sidewalk, whether you're talking to somebody about something.
I make people uncomfortable when I do that.
I used to, yeah, I know. I used to literally.
I don't look people in the eye because it makes them uncomfortable. I don't know why, but it always has.
Yeah, because you're scary.
I'm short and I'm fat. There's
and
nothing
belligerent.
Scary about me.
Anyways, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Well, yeah.
I used to walk down the sidewalk, constantly looking down and ducking and weaving around other people. And one of the things I did when I was first working on my self-worth was to consciously look ahead, make eye contact, and let people sometimes go around me. Not every time, because I didn't want to be an asshole. But, I started to actually, take up space on the sidewalk when I was walking places. It sounds like a small change, but it did wonders for my self-confidence and my ability to sort of look the world in the face and meet people eye to eye. I think that can be really powerful. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Apparently I don't let you talk, but you can now. I'm giving you my permission.
I got nothing.
I got nothing. Oh my God, stop. So peaceful after menopause. I had no idea the effect that hormones had daily. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm in this weird, kind of almost perimenopausal kind of place. It's not fun times.
Yeah, for the guys in here, menopause is fun.
Shayla just whined the longest, saddest whine ever.
Because there's a sunbeam, and she knows it. Hi, puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. But Peggy did bring me a giant box of chocolate at the best time ever.
Hormone survival kit.
There's a video actually showing me opening it and how massive it is on the other channel.
Standing up for yourself is surprisingly easy and surprisingly difficult all at the same time. It is one of the most complicated things that we can do.
Yeah, Ella, look. Sometimes I manspread to show people I'm a confident lady. Yes, take up space. I think that's one of the most powerful things that we can do. Take up space for sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
No, it's like
I did the thing. I interrupted you.
no. People should be confident. But the funny thing is that like you don't. There's no set behavior or attitude that goes with being confident. It's just a matter of practicing it.
Yeah. I used to tell people a lot, like, fake it till you make it. Always good. If you can pretend to be confident, literally like you're acting, then over time you'll actually find that you start being more confident. It's like the coolest thing. Are you getting more coffee? Oh, she's getting the chocolate.
For anybody.
Breakfast! Yes!
Well, we don't.
It's real big.
Everybody
It's
needs
real-
one of those once in
it's
their
real
life. This is
big.
her. This is her once in her
It's
life.
full of chocolate. Because it's a lot of chocolate.
Let me put it away now.
Oh, do I have to stop hugging it now?
Yes.
It made me really pale. That's what happens when I blush. It turns everything else pale.
Yeah.
Now
I
you know how
disappear.
my camera works. That's why Peggy
I
gets
disappear.
pale.
We have a little table that it fits on almost exactly.
Christy's like, I want chocolate now. I know, right?
oh my god.
It was the sweetest. She
Chocolate
was,
for
you
breakfast,
should have
it's
seen
great.
the goofy ass grin she had on her face when she came out of the store too. She was so proud of herself. It was awesome. Peggy married me. Pepper? She's all mine. Can't have her.
If Lisa is ever done with me, I'll give you a call, okay?
It is a lot of chocolate, Jezebel.
Crazy.
It's actually a little scary. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind
Yeah.
of overwhelmed.
That's about a month and a half, 2 months worth of chocolate.
I hope so. I've had like 3-4 pieces a day. It's who knows what's gonna happen. Oh, where can I
Yeah.
get a peg? We're working on cloning.
Cloning technology isn't there yet, but that will be available next decade or so.
What?
3 for $1.
Excuse me?
What? Cloning technology, I said.
I thought you said you'll be available.
A clone
Okay,
version.
well that's better. Also, multiple Peggy.
Look for it on my
I kinda
Etsy
feel
store when
like-
the technology catches up.
I'm about to say something totally inappropriate, but I kind of feel
I
like
keep doing this.
if there were multiple Peggies, I kind of want them all. Because greedy. Also fun. Greedy.
You're thinking dirty thoughts. Look at her just being dirty. Her mind just went to the dirtiest places imaginable.
It did.
Imaginable.
It did.
Oh yeah, no chocolate
Ooh.
coma. Yeah, it's been we've been she's been sharing, so
A little bit.
We're
I'm
kinda
like, don't eat that one or that one or that one. But
here's
have
all the
that
ones
one.
I don't like. You guys have them.
Yeah,
It's-
I've got built-in self-control because yeah, right, Jezebel's so greedy. But I've got built-in self-control where the chocolate's concerned because my body does a weird thing, and like after 9 o'clock, if I have chocolate, it
She
actually
gets an upset tummy,
I get a really upset stomach.
which is kind of funny.
And when do you want to have
So-
chocolate? After dinner. Like that's just when I want to have chocolate.
So
And
back to standing
I
up.
totally dirty cackle. Right? She understands me. I feel like you guys really get me. You really
Yeah,
get me.
Lisa's a pig. It's fine.
Yeah, but I don't show that side of you very often.
Well,
try to
when
be
you do,
good.
it buries itself in my shoulder and goes.
You
"Ah,
can always tell when I'm like feeling like yeah.
A story
'Cause I
where
go
I
right
had
to
an
her shoulder.
adversary that I had to overcome. Oh my god, I've got like bazillions of them. I've got the guy when I was working at a fast food place was a dick to somebody, so I decided to be a dick to him, and I literally pulled him aside and read him the riot act. He was the manager, I wasn't, and I got away with it.
But an adversary you had to overcome.
I had a really bad manager at the one place that I was working
I had
at.
a lot of bad manners.
I honestly, yeah, it's like, oh my
Hey,
god, my
Hold on,
luck.
we have to address the dogs.
Hey,
Guys,
Ah!
leave it.
that's enough. Leave it. Come here. Come here. No.
Sorry, guys.
Hi. You're all done.
There was a noise in the hall. Bad manager, you were saying.
Oh, I've just had worse luck. Like I had the one manager that was just, she was a problem and everybody hated her, and so once I started having problems with her, I basically became a union shop steward. I got involved in something that would
Would
now
give
all
you
of
the
a
backup to.
oh,
be
yeah,
able
all
to-
of a sudden my schedule changed so that I never had to work with her again. It was great.
Hell. Sorry, carry on. I'm sorry.
No, I mean the thing is
Back to
that
my comments.
I think anybody if they think back far enough, just take the time to meditate on it or whatever, you'll find that there's situations where you have stood up for yourself. You have the doggies are standing up for the strange noise at the door because we have a new dog in the building. But the new dog doesn't like little dogs, so we can't really let them meet each other.
Yeah.
So every time they hear Pepper
Excuse
going
me.
by, they're like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr, I want to meet Pepper." And we're like, "No, Pepper doesn't like little dogs." But I think we've all had to stand up for ourselves, and this is the thing: we've all had to stand up for ourselves some way, somehow. Sometimes it's gone well, sometimes it's gone
But
bad.
like real talk, I
But
would
what do
say,
we think about? We think about the times when it didn't go well. We think about the times when we think about the fear before and the emotional backlash of after. We don't think about
Agree.
whether we succeeded or failed in it. And the reality is that you don't have, standing up for yourself does not come with a guarantee of success, which is the problem.
And I will definitely
it's
say,
all about taking a risk.
most of the times that I've been in a position where I really needed,
Leggy.
most of the times where I've been in a position where I really felt like I needed to stand up for myself at work, I'm not going to lie, most times has resulted in me still looking for another job. Because honestly, for me anyway,
on the job
by the time I get to the point where I need to stand up for myself, honestly, by the time I get to that place, usually there's enough of a problem that it's unlikely to be fixed at that point.
Standing up for yourself at work is such a thing that is not done because you need the job.
Yeah.
You need the job, so standing up yourself isn't done. So workplaces in general become so, it's been my personal experience that most workplaces, regardless of what the issues, standing up for yourself at work in an overt, oh my God, you can't treat me like that kind of way.
Agree, Christy, yeah.
Standing up for yourself in small ways to bring about an overall change over time, yes.
Yeah, like asking for that raise that you know you deserve or that is overdue. A lot of those situations have actually turned out all right for me when I've been direct and not come at it from an anxious place. But if I'm like, if this boss is super problematic or something like that, I have stood up for myself, and ultimately I've usually still left anyways, because you're not going to change somebody. That's
a different. Standing up for yourself on the job is such a it literally is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
I have worked in workplaces that are so fucking toxic that is amazing, and that was the one that I actually got fired from for standing up for myself, because everybody else needed the job to the point where they were willing to tolerate this without question.
This is such a big thing. If the people around you are not willing to speak up when they have the exact same problem and you're the lone wolf that's going to say something, you're pretty much screwed. That's been our experience.
But that's work. That is a work situation. That is on the job.
I will say the same thing sometimes happens in families too. Sometimes if you have a big family and one person in the family is problematic and everybody else wants to go, la la la, it's not happening, you can be in the same boat.
Well, because
where you suddenly become house stand or the black sheep.
Standing up for yourself is always a risk. So
Frank and Leggy, oh my God, but they shipped us and are calling us Leggy.
Frank and Leggy.
Leggy or Pisa. There's gotta be a better one.
My name's not Frank. I'm Peggy.
No, you missed it. Look, Lisa and Peggy, Liggy, and then somebody said Pisa. We need a better ship name than Pisa or Liggy.
No.
What about Leggy?
Leggy?
That's weird. We don't have good ship names. I'm sorry.
Pisa is good.
I don't like
Pisa. Okay, it's better than Frank and Liggy.
What
no, wait, I kind of like Frank and Liggy. Anyway, I'm pontificating.
I love Liggy. We gotta make sure Lisa doesn't take all the Peggy's before us and see if she has some grand. I'm not gonna leave that one down.
But that's okay. But
really.
But let's pull this back. I've been in a couple of situations on the job.
Talking. There would be so much talking.
I've been in a couple of jobs. I've been in a few jobs over the years because I have where standing up for yourself in small ways over time can bring about a change that makes you much happier and makes it much easier to start then dealing with some of the bigger problems. Because on the job is a completely different animal. But back to what I said before, though, is like if you are approaching from a place of extreme discomfort, extreme timidity, whatever, where you're going, is this worth mentioning? Is this a big deal? Should I? And you have to like literally talk yourself into bringing up a small thing, or you're waiting until it gets, finding that middle ground where you can
be more proactive,
confidently speak up and defend yourself and stand up for yourself. Confidently do that in a way that is healthy. It's bringing it to that happy middle ground, because so many people are.
Bye, Celtic Morningstar. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye. So many people are either super avoidant. Oh my God, job interviews are easy. Just tell them what they want to hear, and then find out.
I actually kind of disagree. I think that if you can sell yourself, if you can walk in with a confidence where you know your worth when you go in and you're like, I don't need you, you need me. If you go in with that mindset, you're more likely to present yourself in a confident way. And I do think confidence does better at interviews than And yeah, you don't want to
You
say
know what?
something
Just
dumb
turn-
like, "Oh yeah, I'm late all the time." You
Turn
want
on
to tell them what
turn-
they want to hear to a certain degree.
Turn on that
but
little
lots
turn
of
on,
confidence.
turn on that little skill where if I were the job interview, how would I feel about talking to me? And then just kind of do that thing. Sometimes the thing is that if the economy is bad and you need the job, then it's an unfortunate reality
Yeah.
of life. If the economy is good and you're bringing something really positive to the work, then be arrogant. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
The worst thing that's going to happen is that they're not going to hire you and you're going to go work someplace
I have
else.
a story about a job interview, actually. I went to a job interview. This was when I was much more in a people-pleasing place.
Ooh, turn a company into the state for discrimination during an interview.
Yeah. What I was going to say is
Yeah.
that I had this one interview. This was when I was in a much more people-pleasing place, and I was new to Canada. I was trying to get a job, and I went to this interview, and they basically wanted me to, it was like a marketing kind of admin-y position, and they were like, well, we want to see a sample of your work, so come back and bring a sample brochure for us to see that you've created.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay. And they put me like in competition against another person, and it got really uncomfortable really quickly. But I went above and beyond, like way above and beyond. And I didn't end up getting the job, and that's fine. But I remember it left a really sour taste in my mouth, as if I had just done whatever it is. They like jumped through all of these million hoops, and if I had gotten that job, they were going to be the type of employer that was going to always expect kowtow. I don't know how to say it right, but like more hoop jumping and more constantly proving myself. And it's like, wait, my resume, my skills should speak for themselves. A sample of work is fine, but it was the way that they made it so clear I was competing with somebody else and all of this stuff that made it really weird and awkward. And in hindsight, I was really glad I didn't get that job.
Yeah. But I think,
It's a long
you know what
story,
though,
but-
is it really depends. My working career has pretty much been middle of the road. I've worked in fast food places. I've worked in a factory. I've worked in whatever. So I'm working in the level where there's always a boss over you. You've always got to know which ass to kiss and which ass to kick.
Yeah. Which ass to kiss and which ass to kick. We need a sign that says that.
So going in for an interview because I'm a working professional trying to build my career is one kind of interview, and I need to pay the rent is a different kind of interview.
And Caroline
Being
says too,
aware of
if
which
you're
kind
the
of
Caroline says too, if you're the sole
Yep.
income, your household depends if you lose your job. It's very hard, and the boss knows it sometimes.
Exactly.
Sometimes they know that they've got you over a barrel. If it's an
This
employer's
is-
market, and some bosses, some companies don't.
Yeah, this is
take you for granted,
the incredibly toxic underbelly of standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I've always been in the hey, I've got rent to pay, therefore I need a job. I've never been really in an opportunity to grow from a career perspective where I'm choosing the job. I'm more like, hoping to win a contest with 100 other applicants. I mean, when Walmart first opened up in my hometown, this is a long time ago. Walmart first opened up in my hometown. It made the news because they had a hiring fair at our local hockey arena, and over 10,000 people showed up to apply for 300 jobs. When you're trying to get a job in that environment, you're just telling them whatever the hell they want to hear.
That's very true.
So I've
Privilege, where you are at economically, where you're at in your community.
there are so many factors. So
we're lucky right now because we're kind of in an employees market.
We're in an employees market.
It's a little safer.
It's different. Yeah,
to stand up for yourself on the job and say you know what, this is not okay, and I can find another job next week. So basically,
we have a lot of that happen. But I come from an economy. Basically, I come from a Rust Belt community, which, if anybody knows what that means, it means little towns after the auto industry started failing.
In North America.
So anybody, basically a very depressed, the overall unemployment rate across.
Driving distance from Detroit.
Well, the overall unemployment rate in the
Canada.
country, the overall unemployment rate in the country was standing at 5 or 6%. My hometown, it was sitting at 14.
Yeah.
Which is a massive, if anybody's aware of how these numbers work, it's massive.
Yeah. And all the jobs were either really, really high-end skilled labor like doctors, lawyers, etc., or factory
minimum
work.
wage.
Yeah.
Minimum wage.
And,
so you tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot in between.
But I've also been out here when it was an employees market, and it was like, wow, that was really refreshing to walk in and go, this is what I want, this is what I need. If you can't do it, I'm going to go apply down the street and get that job.
Farah says, I stood up for a coworker and got fired. I will tell you, I have learned from experience and through Peggy's experiences. If the person people need to be willing to stand up for themselves. It is not your job to take care of somebody else on the job, because a lot of times.
Let me just ask you, Farah, is that coworker still working for that company? Or at least they stayed for a long time after you left? because that's usually how it goes.
Because Peggy had this happen before too, where people were constantly coming to her. Because people have a tendency to tell Peggy stuff.
They tell me everything.
I know.
Oh my
They were
God.
constantly coming to her complaining about this particular manager, but not one of them would speak up themselves. And, you know, it's that whole your side of the street, other side of the street thing. It can be really tricky. Not that you should never stand up for other people, but just be aware. Be aware going in. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I've been fired for standing up for somebody else. I've been threatened with firing for standing up for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
No, it's
stayed for 6 months, then fired. Yeah. That really, really sucks.
Yeah. The coworker stayed. I have worked in places where I'm like, hey, you can't really do that. That's not fair. The way you're treating these people isn't good. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, you know, and then all of a sudden my relationship with the company is now toxic. I leave. Those people are still there.
Yeah.
Some of them for years.
Yeah, that's a tough one for sure.
Well, you've had that happen. You left a toxic job, and a coworker who was supporting you, going, yeah, this is really toxic. I need to quit. It was a different situation, but that coworker, as far as we know, is still working for that company today.
That's what's really crummy, and it happens a lot, actually. The people that are like the caring, nurturing folks end up standing up for the people that won't stand up for themselves, and then they get vilified.
But you have
it's not good times.
Yeah, it's like when something is simple.
Yikes, Simon! Were you standing up for some? You don't have to tell us, but I'm just curious. Were you standing up for? If you want to tell us, were you standing up for somebody? Is that what happened? I'm just curious.
Yeah, now we need to know something.
Yeah, sorry. All of our nosiness is like, what happened though? Now, yeah. But I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it's oftentimes there's just a personality conflict, or somebody doesn't like you for whatever. Peggy makes. Sorry, no offense, but Peggy does have a tendency to make people feel exposed to a certain degrry.
Oh, it's weird.
And I do think that there are some people who standing up for yourself. Exactly. Yeah. And that stinks. That stinks, Simon. But yeah, I think there's some people who kind of know when they're spotted, if that makes any sense. Like somebody.
What was that you read about me the other day, Claire? What?
Oh, actually, yeah. I was talking about.
I kind of figured out what I am.
Ash the Tarot Yogi did a video that I want to do a video response to about the Claires: clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient, all the different clairs, which I'm really bad at repeating off rotely, but. Yeah, I was like, claircognizant, that's what Peggy is. She just kind of knows stuff, and I think
and when I look too closely at people or listen too intently, it's like
she just has them pegged.
It's like,
that's why your name is Peggy, because you're so good at pegging people.
I'm good at pegging people.
Wait, that means other things sometimes. Okay, sorry. Anyways, but like that's the point is that sometimes sometimes people if they feel exposed, if they feel like they'll be called out, or if
they feel like somebody's seeing
too much truth.
Oh yeah, they don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, offered a deal.
Yeah, but I get it. I totally get what you mean, though, Simon. Sometimes it's like, oh, I made you uncomfortable. I see how it is.
I stood up for myself on the job twice.
Back to the multiple.
I stood up for myself on the job 2 different times, and when I left, I got paid like extra severance.
Nice to my pinky. Peggy is a fidgeter, so she's constantly with my hand, and she's like rubbing my pinky off right now.
She doesn't need this one.
That's my thumb. You can rub on that one if you want.
Okay.
That's my. What are we doing now? It's like hand massage time, because I'm okay.
Yeah, it does absolutely not. Here's the thing. What I will say is, if you feel that
Isabel.
on the job can be this toxic soup. You've got to rely on all these other people to help you do your job. I am so, you guys have no idea how grateful I am that I am now essentially self-employed doing the bags, because I hate working with and for other people. I've always hated it.
And it supports my hobbies.
But
our hobbies.
If you've
it
got
supports our hobbies.
basically the thing is that the first thing you need to do, and Jezebel and somebody else mentioned having lazy coworkers, find out if it's possible to find out what your what that person's boss thinks of. But then again, that's like high school. It's like, oh hey, well blah 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 blah, so and so. Oh yeah, they can be, and you make little tiny references. You make little tiny references and see how they respond.
Oh, that sounds really bad. That sounds really bad. I'm not even going to repeat that on camera. That sounds bad. Bad.
Oh,
Bad. But also 10 is a good number. I'd be good with 10 Peggies. But only if I could keep them like... No, only if I could keep them...
10 fingers?
Stop talking. Only if I could keep...
Redder.
Only if I could keep them gagged. Because, why'd you lick my hand?
Why'd you cover my mouth?
Damn it. This is why I couldn't have more than one Peggy, because holy cow.
Blah, 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 blah.
Jesus. Oh, I gotta go.
If she's
We gotta
being
go.
if she's being super bratty, the quickest way to win is to lick her face. She hates it.
I don't like being sticky or gross and any like don't. Why would you do that?
Because you had your hand right here.
But you were
Anyway.
talking. Anyways.
Pegging.
Stop! I said don't say that one out loud. I was talking about you pegging other people, like being able to spot their stuff, and then I realized how bad that, and then I realized how bad that sounded, and then it. Sorry, back to somebody has a to-do list. I'm just like change the subject. Change the subject.
Desperate.
Quick. Oh my god. What?
Oh my god. Standing up for yourself on the job is probably the single most hardest thing that you will ever have to do, because if it doesn't go well, you are not only. Now, if it doesn't go well, you could find yourself without a job, without a way to support yourself, without a way to keep your home, your car, your life, your kids.
Truth.
And honestly, but here's the thing. So let's take this and flip it a little bit. Because we have these situations where the repercussions are clear and obvious. So you have these clear and obvious repercussions, and don't we always we always, if something is clear and obvious in this context, we kind of just by default apply that to every other context in our lives. So because the working world has these clear and obvious repercussions if things go wrong, you're always concerned that what if the same kind of thing can happen in a real world, face-to-face, interpersonal situation.
Yeah, it makes it hard.
It makes it really hard. That's why, like I said, like push forward past the I shouldn't, this is petty, and pull back from the rage and find that happy medium that lets you do more to speak up from a calm, reflective.
Look at Peggy being all on topic. She's so good.
I know. I'm amazing.
See what I said about compliment?
And you're not like trying to sell me to people and stuff. And
I wasn't trying to sell. Oh,
clones.
I could make a serious profit off of that. I hadn't thought about making money.
Clones, yeah. That's why I said the clones are going to be in the shop when the technology becomes available.
Yeah, but I didn't realize I could sell them. That didn't even occur to me. I guess I was just going to give them away. That's wrong. I could make so much money.
Load up 30 Peggies on a bus
but
and ship them off.
We need the clones that you can turn off.
Anyway.
Like, just turn them off. Just turn them off.
Little off switch in the back of the head.
Because I'll tell you guys right now, Peggy before coffee in the morning will blow your mind. And I'm like, I need one of those coffee cups that says shh until the coffee is down here, like one of those color changing mugs where it says shh, stop talking. And then when the coffee is finally down here because I've drank it all, then it's like,
who's got short and curly?
Okay, you can speak now. What?
Oh, I don't know what.
Oh no, I think Caroline's responding to the fact that they
clones have rights. Nah.
Well, maybe I was thinking more robot. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking robot. Good for you, Simon. See, Simon, you did stand up for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's the only way that works is as you're on your way out the door.
Yeah.
I've gotten twice.
One time they literally sat her down and basically and she can't. It's hard to prove, but they did get in trouble for it. But they basically told her as they were firing her, she's like, "Is this because I spoke up about this particular supervisor harassing me?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's why." I'm like, "What?" It wasn't a job she'd been at long enough or paid enough to make it worth suing, but it would have been an open and shut case if she was sued.
I actually talked to a lawyer that said it's going to be an open and shut case. We're talking several $1,000s, but that's also what it's going to cost. It's all going to go to legal fees. Yeah, you would pay more on legal fees than you would get. But, like, I was appalled that they literally, she's like, "Is this because I complained about harassment?" And they're like, "Yep, that's why." Yeah, we don't like that.
Holy shit, does that happen in real life?
Yeah, it happened in real life, and honestly,
I was horrified.
I will tell you right now,
if you are that dumb just to admit it.
If you are being harassed on the job, take a look at how much you're making before you decide whether or not threatening legal action is worth it. Because if you're not making at least $100,000 a year, you will not get enough.
It depends. It does depend on context. Like
That's what they told. Okay. I'm sorry. That's what they told me here in Canada.
Yeah, and it's a combination of how many years you've been there versus your wages. No, I'm talking about for other people. It's a combination of wages and length of service that makes it more and more worthwhile when you. No, it actually really worked out really well for me because it was a super toxic job. Super. It was good that she got out of there, but I needed the job, so I took the job because I needed the money because the economy was still depressed around here. Which is why they were getting away with harassing his Kat once had to sign something that literally said she wouldn't badmouth the boss for a year. Talk about paranoid. My last job, I left. I basically left because of a problematic guy at the very, very top. And then the owner of the company contacted me after and got the story. And he was not there long after. But sad that it took that far because there was people talking about this particular person for
Years.
a long time before they finally took it seriously, and I had to leave first. And you know, it's like the amount of toxicity that can happen in a workplace is pretty frustrating.
And it's really unfortunate because it puts us like one bad experience in one area of our life really does affect how we handle other parts of our life.
Yeah, it can make you really gun shy to speak up.
I mean, yeah, because like we're all talking
interpersonal. It's like if you
like who has not been in an incredibly toxic work environment at least once in their life?
Yeah, where you know it's not going to go
well. Where you know, and it's like, well, dude,
or like in an interpersonal relationship where you stand up for yourself and that person's like, oh, well, I don't like that.
I'm
bye.
You.
Oh. It's like, okay, well, yay that they're not in your life anymore, but that doesn't make it suck any less to go through, and it doesn't make you any less gun shy for the next time you have to speak up for yourself.
But if you're super, super in love with somebody and then they fuck you over at the drop of a hat, because that's happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to you with that one person. It's like, oh no, she's my friend. This is a really important person in my life. This is amazing. This is amazing. And that person lost her mind, lost her mind over something really stupid. The friendship ended. All of this happened like super. Just come to find out, as quick as flipping a switch, find out just how toxic this person really was.
Yeah.
And it was all over, and you were like,
oh, Molly,
you were devastated.
Terrible. The most toxic workplace I ever was in a therapy clinic. Not surprising.
But that's John.
Oddly, but what?
That's our son had a similar situation, and he was working for a therapist.
No, that's true, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, regardless, I mean, I think toxicity shows up everywhere, and I think it often shows up where power dynamics are at play. Somebody clearly has power over another person, such as boss, employee. And again, I still think that the people that most desire power are often the least suited for it.
Yeah. Except me.
Do you desire power?
Oh, I should be running the whole world. I would do such a great job. You'd be scared. No,
words.
I'm just full of shit. It's fine. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want the job. No.
Okay.
No.
Are you sure? You're not convincing me right now.
I like being in charge, but that's too much.
That's being too much in charge. Classic
of.
Peggy quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very isolating experience to go through, Simon, and Kat as well. It's tricky.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing: we've all been there.
Oh God, Molly, that's horrible. Yeah. A lot of us have been in really toxic situations, and where with work, it's even harder in some ways because.
But let's go back to that other conversation. We're not allowed to talk about negative things that happen in our lives, so we're not allowed to feel empowered or encouraged by other people by.
Is this sarcasm?
Well, no, it's sarcasm.
Yes, it's sarcasm.
It's not sarcasm at you. It's sarcasm.
No, I know it's sarcasm as like this is what we experienced. This
is why almost every time you pull me onto one of these videos, I'm like, it's all interconnected in this big ugly mess.
But it is. I mean, that's why.
Well, have fun with your pupperoos.
Yeah, we got to close this off soon too. We've been on for about a little over 90 minutes, I think, at this point. So we should definitely
if a boss tried to assault me, I'd probably like really, really hurt them. But that's just me,
yeah. Did you fart?
No.
Did the dog fart?
Probably. Dude,
if I fart, it smells bad in here now.
I can't smell anything. My nose is all stuffed up.
Okay, we actually do have to wrap this up because we have been on for a long time. But if you are still here, don't forget to hit the like button before you go.
But you did your challenge thing, right? Did you do that? Like try to
be assertive one time this week.
Try to be assertive one time this week, but try to remember that try to push forward, that you don't have to feel apologetic or afraid, and try and pull back from the rage.
Yes. Push yourself forward to get past the
dismissing
yourself or minimizing yourself.
Just take a second. It's like, and don't forget about apology. You don't have to apologize. What was the topic of the other one? You don't have to apologize or say sorry for having this opinion or being upset by something. You just gotta go, hey, just thought that this is kind of bothering me, and we really need to sort it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, Simon. Yeah. So let us know. We'll talk next weekend, and we'll check in about how we did over the week. If we had an opportunity, had an opportunity to be assertive, how that went for us. So hopefully there'll be an opportunity that we can try or practice this. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be a really, really small thing. Just try to speak up one time this week about something that truly you feel like you want to speak up about, and just try it. Just practice it like one time.
And you don't have to bite the bullet and take on the biggest issue in your life.
Oh, please don't. Start with something small. Start with something small.
Baby steps.
Yeah. And thank you so much, you guys, for hanging out with us. I really, really love doing this every weekend, and I'm really enjoying it. So thank you for hanging out with us.
You can talk now.
No, no. It's like ironic that we're going. Oh, we're really enjoying this, talking about all this negative crap in the world.
But it's so healthy. It's like we get to like.
It is incredibly healthy.
purge.
We don't get to talk about this stuff unless we're literally at the point of breakdown. We don't get to say, oh yeah, it really sucks. I went through this, and this. So here's what we don't get to talk about like that. We don't get to talk about any of this in a positive way. We only are allowed to talk about this sort of stuff societally once things are so freaking bad that we're trying to
It's true.
put our shit back together.
It's true. We're still gonna say bye though.
We are gonna say bye.
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday,
Have a great
everybody.
Saturday, guys.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.